If you've ever felt disconnected from your intuition, your spirit guides, or even yourself, you are so not alone. That feeling of being lost, kind of wondering if you're doing it wrong, or you're fearing that you're just kind of imagining everything. That's exactly what we're talking about today. Because in this episode, we're diving into how science and spirituality can actually support each other, and how healing and reconnection can happen when we approach it all with curiosity, compassion, and even just a little bit of humor. Here's what we're going to cover today. 1, we're going to look at the science behind spiritual connection and why feeling blocked isn't really your fault. 2, we're going to look at how to begin trusting your own intuition again, even after self-doubt. And 3, we're going to look at how building a supportive community might be the missing link. So with that, let me introduce you to my guests, Will and Karen. You're going to hear about their stories, their struggles, and their take on what it really means to grow spiritually while staying grounded and open-minded. So let's get right into it.
So it's become much easier these days because quantum physics is starting to explain a lot of the stuff that we're talking about in a way that people can go, oh, yeah. So I can actually say there actually was, as they found that.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Spirits Beside Us. I am so glad to have you with us again. Today's going to be a fun episode because we're going to be diving into the metaphysical, but we're going to be going into how can we break it down into, are we bending spoons? Are we talking about skeptics? Are we talking about how does it all relate to, our humanness? Is there really such thing as a metaphysical world? So diving right into it. As you can see, we've got these two great guests today. They're sort of a dynamic duo, if you will, and they call themselves the Skeptic Metaphysicians. And if there's nothing else that I love better, is a skeptical metaphysician. They have one of the top podcasts around, and it's captivating both skeptics and seekers alike. And really they're very relatable. They're very down to earth, and they discuss everything that we like to seek out beyond ourselves in a way that's tangible and understandable, which is near and dear to my heart. So we've got Will Rodriguez and Karen Ensley, and they're beyond just podcast hosts. They're really sort of explorers in ways that you can really begin to understand what is beyond just the physical experience that we have on what we call the earth. So with that, welcome, Will and Karen.
Thanks for having us. It's wonderful to be here.
I know. Before he said our names, I thought he was talking about someone else. I'm like, they sound great.
I had to look around.
I know. Isn't it?
Those people. It's not us.
I was looking for another video window. Who is this?
Well, I meant to tell you, I've got some backup people in case it's not you.
You know what?
We'll find out.
As a mutual admiration society, as a podcast host ourselves, we totally understand the importance of having Plan B. So
that's true.
we just want to make sure that we are not going to be relegated to Plan B. So fingers crossed.
I don't know. It all goes on, what you say. I mean, if you have to say, I know,
that's true.
Handle
no pressure.
We're hoping for a click-free show.
Right.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always got that red button. It's like, watch the chairs fall through the floor or something. I don't know.
Oh, God.
That'd be kind of cool.
But as long as it's not
it would hurt.
Yeah, as long as it's not connected to an electric shock. Or
I don't know. That can be arranged.
Oh.
I think
play nice, Will.
Yeah, play nice. Play nice.
Yeah, I think it's getting late.
Exactly. I think you got to go pick up your daughter or something. I don't know.
Right. Did we say 3:15? We meant now.
Yeah, 2:15. Yeah, right. Awesome. Well, getting right into the heart of things. What I love about your description and your title about being the skeptical metaphysicians, it's like you're straddling both sides, right? You've got one foot in the sort of the tangible, skeptical, analytical world. Yet you've got the other side, fully embracing the love, the light, the metaphysics, the non-physical side. And it's like you're trying to bring both sides together in a way that each side can understand.
You nailed it. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We both grew up in the same general area of the country. And in that area of the country, there's a lot of folks that are trying to pull one over on someone, right? So we have to be very careful, very discerning as to what we believe, what we don't believe. However, I've always wanted to believe that this stuff was real. The talk of reincarnation and spirits and all this kind of stuff, that's the stuff that would energize me when I was younger. But we also knew a lot of charlatans who, oh yeah, you've got a curse on your family for $50. I'll pull it off you with this smoke. Right? So we have to be really careful. So though I want to believe, I need to figure a way to believe it, find a way to pragmatically wrap my head around it. And that's what the show is about.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so I grew up in Florida where everyone's crazy. So people that are in this space just fit in perfectly because, you know, it's Florida. So I grew up a little differently. I'm more of the believer than Will. So the thing about our podcast is we have a couple different points of view. You know, we have obviously the male, the female. We have the more skeptic, more believer. And even with when we interview people, Will does all the research. So he has that, you know, background information. I just show up and talk. I don't even know who we're talking to until the introduction. So there's that view too. So we bring a lot of different views to the podcast, which makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah. The one similarity, we both love to laugh.
Yeah.
So we tackle the topics with a sense of humor. How many times do you listen to shows and have great information, but at the end of it, you're like, man, I need to go like watch a comedy or a sitcom or something because it's
I
so
gotta go to
heavy.
sleep if I'm not already.
Exactly.
Right. So we like to tackle the topics with a smile because we feel if someone's having fun, they're going to learn more, faster,
You get
easier
absorbed
that
into
way.
it. Totally.
Yeah.
And how can you not be smiling when you're talking about Bigfoot or reading people's ancestors through their eyes or channeling or angels? I mean, all of that stuff makes you smile.
I mean, it's all good. It's all good stuff. I mean, at least you know, you hope you're not connecting to anything that's going to bring you either bad news or bum you out or you know, something that's not exactly positive. But that goes to the whole concept of saying, okay, this is my intention. I am not going to go there. I'm going to make sure that I'm connecting with something that is positive, that is going in the right direction, that is aligned with light. It's all in your mind. It's your intention.
It's true. And Will, you know, his thing is we all create our own reality. So in my reality, I choose to not believe in any of that bad stuff. So it makes it much more fun.
Her world is really nice.
Rainbows and unicorns, baby.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm Peter Pan. I've never grown up. I've always been kind of out there in La La Land, with the exception of, you know, when I was back on Wall Street and I'm going, okay, that stuff's garbage. I was kind of like you. Well, I was so grounded in reality, materialism. It's like this is the way it has to be, and it was like, I mean, I'm a Gemini, so clearly one side of me was on one side, the other side of me is on the other side. So I was naturally bridging both sides, and they were having a real fight.
Yeah, no, I cannot relate to that at all. No, what am I saying? Of course, I'm a Gemini too. Yeah. That's exactly.
There you go. All right.
So I'm here with 4 other people.
Yes. She is very well surrounded. Right. Yeah.
Totally. So, I mean, so what was it that got you to the point where, you know, you're in this skeptical material, you know, grounded thing where you're just like, okay, this is what it has to be. But there's part of me that still wonders, reaches, wants to know, because, you know, I too, you know, was in New York City, and God knows there are so many sandwich board $15 readings. Yeah. Oh, you're cursed. Just, you know, here's my palm. You got to make sure you lift the curse. It's like, come on, give me a break. So you're like, who's real? Who's not? How do you figure it out? And what is real beyond our reality?
Yeah, it's I mean, in any industry, you can have people like this, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of folks that are in this space are in it because they are desperate for help. And so those types of people prey on those exact types of folks.
Right.
The way that the whole show started was with an existential crisis. During COVID, like many people, I was forced to look at myself in the mirror, and I didn't like who I was. We grew up in the New York area. I was a TV executive. I was very judgmental. I was very angry. I was self-entitled. In self-indulgent. I was the epitome of a TV exec, right? The world revolves around me. And I came about a hair's breadth away from losing everything, my family, my career, everything. And when I was forced to look in the mirror and realized I didn't like who I was, I spiraled into an uncontrollable breakdown. Took 8 weeks off of work. I went to therapy, was unbelievably blessed to find a therapist right off the bat that actually got it. And she turned me on to meditation. Now, I had studied metaphysics and meditation and all that kind of stuff when I was in my 20s, when I moved to Miami, Florida, of all places, right? Where everybody's crazy.
Yeah.
I was one of the crazy ones.
Right in.
Right. Because I dove into this kind of stuff back there. But, life gets in the way. You forget about all these kinds of things. So the meditation helped me to bridge the gap, to remember, oh, that's right. There's a lot more to who I am and what's going on in the world than what I'm experiencing right now. So I started asking the questions. I started pulling up books that I had read when I was much younger that I remember helped me at the time, and then would read them and would close the book and then speak into my phone just my thoughts on it, how I was processing it. And I put that up as a podcast initially. It was a totally different title and everything. But after a while, these little excerpts were getting so personal that I thought it prudent to bring them down, and instead started having conversations. I reached out to those folks that I used to study with when I was down in Florida, and I would record our conversations. And that's what became the Skeptic Metaphysician at the time, singular. And through these dialogues, through these conversations, I started to understand and come to terms with what was happening inside me, who I actually was. And that helped me to get my head on straight again. And then I was good. So the show started as a self-serving mechanism. It was truly about me. And if no one listened to it, I didn't care. This was a way for me to get the affirmations out in the world, into the universe. So once I got better, we felt the show had run its course. It was time to put it to sleep, to put it to bed. But then Karen said, before you do that, let me just Google it. And Karen, why don't you pick it up from here?
Yeah. So, I was wondering, because at this time I don't think I was a full-time co-host yet, but I had been on a few different episodes, and we were having fun, but it was taking so much time, the editing and all of that stuff takes forever. So it was taking so much time away from our family that really it was starting to defeat its own purpose. So I Googled it just to see if anybody happened to be listening. And I don't know if it was on Apple Podcasts or some site that I knew nothing about podcasts at that time. And I found all these pages of reviews that Will nor I had any idea existed. And I mean, they were all 5-star reviews, and
except for one.
No, at that point they were all still.
Oh, I'm so bitter about that.
I'm telling
one.
the story.
It's always that one thorn in the back of the
That was later.
I'm very bitter.
That was later. We
one.
got a 4-star. No. But anyway, so I started reading. People had written paragraphs about our show, and we're not experts on anything. We're not the ones providing the healing or doing the helping people manifest things or meditate. We're just talking to people. But I remember the very last one that I read, the last thing in this paragraph that he had written said, "Thank you so much for helping me feel normal." And I was just like, wow, if we're helping one person, especially that much that they felt compelled to write something to us, we can't stop. Yeah. And then the universe does what it does. And it put this really great software into Will's lap, and it cut down editing time by like 60-70%. So we were able to still, do the podcast, but then also regain that family time that we had been missing. So it worked out. And we've been doing it ever since.
That actually reminds me of a story that there was somebody else who was on a podcast journey, and they were having the same kind of problem. And he was like, I'm just going to, I guess he was giving some kind of advice or something. And at some point he got to a point where he's like, I can't do this anymore. It's taking up way too much time, and I'm ready to stop it. And I've got to end this. And then there was some letter I think he got, and this person was at the end of their lifeline. They're like, I'm ready to, end my life. But it wasn't until I heard your podcast, you saved my life. And this guy just was like, I cannot stop this podcast anymore. Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing. It's like, they realize they're touching at least one person. Yeah. And it's amazing.
It's really incredible because so many people are going through these really difficult challenges or spiritual awakenings or even both at the same time. Yeah. And yet it's becoming more, what's the word, more
normal,
more common.
Yeah.
It's still not quite mainstream yet. So that's what we're kind of trying to do, help, because it's the doctors, the computer people, the accountants, all of these normal people that are going through this, and they're all afraid and they're all alone. And people are sending us messages now saying, I don't have anyone I can talk to about this.
Exactly.
So, thank you, because now I know I'm not the only one. Yeah. And that's just, so it's our goal to kind of help promote these messages so people know it really is becoming like a mainstream thing, and it's okay. You can come out of the metaphysical closet.
Yeah, totally.
You've got support.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's like it is becoming, to your point, more mainstream. I mean, it started back, I think, in the 70s with James Van Praagh. He became very regular with his, for example, spirit communication. Then you got other TV mediums and what have you, and then all this concept of spirituality just is starting to become more and more common, more mainstream, more understood, and it's becoming less and less of the former, whatever, quote unquote, taboo, right? And I used to be like, I can't go there. And I mean, I remember you were talking about, God, Will, you were talking about meditation. It was the exact same thing with me. Well, I was going absolutely nuts when I was in Wall Street, and somebody turned me on to the concept of meditation, which I thought was like this foreign thing. It's like, oh, you got to be like in the Hindu Kush to do that. Like, holy smokes, it works.
Yeah,
and that was what's
amazing.
Totally, turned me, did a 180.
Yeah, definitely.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean, and people need to understand you don't have to, put your hair in dreadlocks and tie dye your clothes. You can just be in your suit or in your polo shirt and your khakis.
Yeah.
But there still is. I mean, even we have that little bit of that, weird feeling. Our daughter goes to this very prestigious, private school, and be out there talking to people, and they're like, oh, so you guys have a podcast? What's it about? And it's like, oh. Tell them,
never mind.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but we do. We share it, but we have that, because it still feels kind of weird. And then they're like, "Oh, I listened to this one that's similar," and they're like, "Okay."
So inevitably, I always turn it to. So as a skeptic, right, we have to find a way to wrap our heads around it. So it's become much easier these days because quantum physics is starting to explain a lot of the stuff that we're talking about 100%. In a way that people can go, oh, yeah. So I can actually say there actually was, as they found that they separated a particle in two, 14 miles apart. They messed with one to see how long it would take to affect the other one. It was instantaneous. What is that? It's entanglement, right? So it speaks to this ethereal world that's out there that up until now it's been stuck to the James Van Praaghs and the all those types of people that were woo. And
totally. There was no way to understand it before.
Yeah.
So he just popped something into my head. So whereas you tend to say, okay, let me see the science behind the fact that this is true. So I was going to be an engineer in school. I mean, I love the math and the science. So I'm not, but I also had a little bit of that too. But, but I'm the opposite. I'm like, okay, well, show me the science and stuff to prove that it's not true. Wow. So we both kind of look at it a little bit differently.
Right. Right.
I think
my way's more fun.
Well, it's scary how similar you and I are, because for me, it was, okay, I'm experiencing these things, but I'm still so much of a materialist, still so much of an agnostic. I had to have something prove it to me, and the only way I could bridge the two was quantum physics. Suddenly, quantum physics proved everything for me. I mean, to the point where you could say, okay, everything is energy. Look at a carbon atom, expand the nucleus to the size of a golf ball. The electron would be 2 miles away. Everything else is empty space. 99.99% of everything is empty space filled with energy.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all energy, right? I think I just read an article a week or so ago that the scientists found the first evidence of string theory. And if you know anything about string theory, that's like the holy grail of this type of thing, right? String theory could explain everything in a way where people can now say, this isn't fantasy, this isn't woo, this is science, this is actual reality. And that, to me, to someone like me, you and I, that's like, oh yeah, like, that's exciting to us, because now we can wrap our heads around. Now, having said that, I'm not sure where you are in your journey, but on mine, I have found that now that I've gotten that science wrapped around my head, and it's given me an excuse to then allow the magic to come through. And the more you allow the magic to come through and not get stuck on, well, what's the science behind it? All of a sudden, even more stuff comes. And then you start experiencing stuff that you couldn't have experienced if you hadn't been willing to suspend your disbelief. And now the magic really takes off, and that's when the fun starts.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened to me, is because I started experiencing all these things. I had my spiritual awakening, reawakened all the feelings I had when I was a kid, when I was talking to the trees and people that weren't there, and yada. It happened all over again, and I thought I was going crazy until all of a sudden, I'm starting to go to these teachers doing the quantum physics, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. Then I started learning how to work with it. And for the last umpteen years, I've been a spiritual medium, and I keep on looking back at quantum physics going, oh yeah, okay. Better.
It's like your safety net, right? That's okay, good. But
it's like, I'm like, woohoo.
No.
Yeah, I just got to see it. Now, like, so you're talking about talking to trees. Have you seen
I was just going to go there.
I know.
I was just gonna go there. Yeah.
Have you seen the video of there's a young girl and she's standing by a tree and the little limb and she's like saying, touch my face. And she keeps saying it.
Yes, the leaf.
So we tried it and it worked.
Oh my God.
So we've not spoken about this in public to anyone except for our daughter. And so we actually independently, we were together so we could witness it. But
you went first.
I went first, and I'm like, oh, come on.
That's not gonna work. That can't
touch
work.
my face, touch my face.
Right. I'm like, okay, right. So she's like, come on, try it. So I was like, no, you try it. No, try it. Okay, fine. So I did it, and I just sat there, and I said, okay, touch my face. I'm like, come on, touch my face. No, get a little closer, a little touch. And before I realized it, the thing was touching my face.
And it was like this much of a distance that it had to move.
Yeah, it was probably a good
like
4 inches
4 or 5
away
inches.
from my face. And I was freaking out. I was like, okay, so Karen tried it.
And then I was all scared because like, well, what if it doesn't work for me?
Right. And she tried it, and it also did the same thing. Now, this was not, I know where you're going. I see your eyes.
It wasn't windy.
It was not a windy day. There was no one pushing. There was no one pushing the branch.
That's what I was thinking.
No, it was just the two of us. There was no one else around, and it was like what are those Christmas bushes that have
a holly? It was like a holly tree.
Yeah, holly tree, and it was just so it's not something that's easy. It's not very flexible.
No,
well, no. I mean, it was like a
the
it
limb,
wasn't like
the
a
limb.
branch went. It was green,
right? But it was astounding to me.
I gotta try that.
And then we had our daughter. You weren't there, but I'm like, come on, Sina, you've got to try this. And then she was scared it wasn't going to work for her. But yeah, I mean, it took a little longer, but it worked. And I don't know if it's just the vibration of the tones of the voice, whatever attracts the energy, but it worked. It was crazy.
Right. So here's where the magic comes in. Here's what I'm thinking.
That's magic right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's my thought process behind it. I have always known, not always, but recently I read The Secret Life of Plants. I mean, there's lots of experiments that have shown that plants have a rudimentary type of consciousness. Right?
Yes, exactly. They've got all the energy and all the, they can speak to each other too.
Yeah, exactly. They have the root system is an early warning system amongst themselves. The scientists separated these plants and set one on fire and had electrodes on the other one, and it showed the plant going into distress when it realized the other plant was on fire. So there's a rudimentary consciousness there. But understand that not only can they actually have some sort of rudimentary consciousness like that, but the fact that they can actually move to accommodate or to be a part of the energy field that you're putting out there, to me, blew my mind, because now I can't look at a tree or a plant the same way again.
Can't look at a salad the same way.
So I beg forgiveness anytime I eat a salad now. It's like, I'm so sorry. Thank you for your sacrifice for me. Because
so, what we didn't try, which is interesting, if we just like started singing or just not, because you think it feels like it's responding to you and you're saying, touch my face. Oh, it's answering.
No, it was.
Is it, see, now this is where I'm like the opposite. Is it just the sound? Like, could you just stand there and hum and it would touch your face? Is it like that frequency that it's attracting?
Yeah. Remember the there was the Japanese scientist or something, Emoto or whatever his name was. With the water experiment.
Yes.
And he was doing the different vibrations, and the crystals would either come into these beautiful crystals because it was a high vibration frequency, or they turn out to be these disgusting crystals with like really low vibration, negative, like rock or harsh sounds, and just the vibrations and the sounds were having an effect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But either way, the thing moved.
Yeah, and actually, what if it might not even be reacting to the sound of what we're saying, but just to the energy that we're emitting? Because we were excited and hopeful and positive. So if you're out there and like, oh, this plant sucks and it's pointy, it might go the other way.
Well, there's a whole thing about if you speak to a plant nicely, it'll flourish. If you yell at them or main tone, they like wilt and stuff. So I think that's more likely what the answer is.
So cool.
But it still moved. Let's not forget the fact it still moved.
Like, oh, I'm your friend.
It's still alive. It's still got energy. It's still got a vibration. So we are energy. The plants are energy. The water is energy. It's all vibration. So whether we're actually looking at a plant or our fingers or whatever it is, and we think we're actually seeing something, going back to quantum physics, there's actually nothing that we ever touch, because our fingers will never touch because of the electrons. You can only get down to the 10 to the minus 8th distance, because otherwise it's the electrons and what you feel is electron repulsion. So it can never touch.
That's cool.
It makes perfect sense.
It's like, what? I'm not touching? Oh, no, you're not.
That's wild.
Yeah. So this is the type of stuff that we talk about on the show, and that excites us because these conversations open up a whole new world to us.
Yeah.
Change our reality completely. And I remember back before I was doing all these things, what a limited world I lived in without even realizing how limited I was living. And the more I dive into the conversations, the more that we explore these things, the more that possibilities open up to us.
And you were more fearful.
I was very fearful. Yes.
And
I was very afraid of death. For example,
and that's the big thing is once you open up yourself to a broader reality, because we limit our reality, our what we think is a reality is really nothing but an illusion of our own internal wiring. We begin to understand that the actual reality is far greater than what we perceive. It's like we're a fish in a fishbowl, limited to what we're seeing here, when in fact everything else is outside the fishbowl.
Yeah. So my favorite story of spirituality, when I was in my 20s and initially researching these things, I ran across a man who was the most centered human being I'd ever met. And I was in awe. It's like, how are you so balanced? Every time I talk to you, every time I meet you, you're just so zen. How do you manage to do it? And I was a 20-year-old punk, right? High energy. And he said, I just understand the reality. I understand the world that we're living in. I said, well, I want to know the world. Can you share that with me? He goes, okay, well, the best way, the closest I can get to explaining it to you is with this story. And here's the story he told me. He said that one day God was standing on his mountain of truth, and he was looking down at the world, and he liked what he saw. So he leaned in closer to take a closer look. But as he did so, he lost his footing, and he kind of stumbled a little bit and caught his footing back. But when he did that, a couple of pebbles from the mountain of truth dislodged and fell down onto the world. And he's like, uh-oh. And he looked down to see what damage he had done. And to his surprise, he saw all the people of the world running to these pebbles, grabbing them, raising them over their heads, and exclaiming, I have the truth. Actuality, all they have is a little pebble of the mountain of truth. So the moral of the story is that no matter how much we feel we have the truth, we will never, ever be able to wrap our minds around what the actual facts of our reality are. So instead of fighting that, just accept. And that makes things so much nicer that you don't have to know. You don't have to know, and just experience. There's a term I say all the time: don't anticipate, participate. And it infuriates my family, but that's the motto, right? Just go with it, and life is much sweeter.
Oh yeah,
it is, and it's more fun because there's more possibilities.
Yeah.
You're not limiting yourself to anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that, and I think that's what happens to us as humans, is that we allow ourselves to get caught up in not only the problems of our own immediate humanistic world, but we begin to forget what is beyond us, and we forget, as a result of what's beyond us, we forget that we are and can be so much larger than we allow ourselves to be.
Yeah.
And yet in our little egoistic minds, we are so important. We're so important. The world is all about us. We are a speck of dust hurtling through space at thousands of miles an hour in an infinite vacuum of other planets. We are insignificant in our existence, and yet we are everything at the same time. We're just stuck with our egoic thought process. This is not who we are.
Well, then you go into a psychiatric thought process. Is that our ego mind, ever since we were like 3 years old, has always been trying to defend us against what it perceives to be an external threat. So we've always been separate from everything else, when in fact the reality, the greater mountain of truth that you're talking about, is that we're all the same energy. We're all the same piece of the same thing. We're all, the unity consciousness.
Definitely.
Yet we separate ourselves because our ego brain has been wired to defend us against everything that seems to be coming at us.
Yeah. And we've created these thought forms. In Hindu, it's samskaras, right? It's these
the samskaras, yes.
Yeah. That we are no longer reacting from our true selves. We're now reacting from these thought processes that we have built around our belief systems. Something happened to us at one point, and now anything that happens remotely close to that thing triggers a certain type of response. So we're really living very unconsciously, even though we believe we're conscious. Mm-hmm. We're really not. When we take a minute and dive into it and really get to the nitty of who we are, when you wake up, suddenly you go, what was I thinking?
Oh, yeah.
And that's a strange place to be. It just happened to me a few days ago, and I'm still not completely recovered from it all. But I found that it wasn't the first time it happened to me. Mm-hmm. You forget, you remember, and then you forget, and then you remember and you forget. The trick is to stay in remembrance as much as possible. Because I don't know we'll ever be completely awake.
And that's what's so interesting is that one of my spiritual teachers also teaches trance, and we listen to this teacher's spirit guide who actually winds up teaching us. And it's so cool because it's just like, for months I've been taught this incredibly smart spirit guide. Oh, have you ever heard of a not smart spirit guide? Like straight down.
Well, there's that one guy.
There's that one guy. Well, he just wasn't quite there. A little off, but there's this one guide that's been teaching us to be aware of being aware. So, and has us do all these exercises to do that, so that, and it's akin to, don't be the actor in the movie, be the observer in the movie theater watching the movie play out. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And he goes, just try it. See what happens. So for weeks on end, he had us do that. And it's like, gosh, it's like, you want to yell and scream at somebody. It's like, you're just such a so-and-so. How dare you? Somebody cuts you off or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or you're just like, I can't stand that. And just zoom out, see what happens. And I was like, so to your point, I had all these experiences like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was at a meditation retreat a while back. And in one of my meditations, the meditation teacher was saying to us, was chanting these questions to us. And the big question she was chanting was, who are you? And we're trying to focus on question, who are we? Who are you? And so we're going into meditation, we're going to trance, and we're hearing, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And I got the answer, but it was a very unconventional way. What was shown to me was that me, when I was a little kid, playing with Matchbox cars, and the answer was, you think that you are the Matchbox car. You're actually the boy playing with the Matchbox car, believing that they're the Matchbox car. So we are much more, we're walking around on the world thinking we are these bodies we inhabit, when we're actually the consciousness that is controlling these bodies. Yeah. But we forget. We think we're the Matchbox car. And that's never left me, that thought process that I'm actually the kid playing with a Matchbox car.
Oh yeah, and that also goes to the whole concept of being the inner child. Is that while whether you're talking to yourself at age 5 or age 105, that inner voice is always going to be the same. It's always the inner you, and that inner child is the true being that is within. It's the spirit within, right? It's we think we're the body when in fact we're actually the spirit. Everybody goes, oh well, that person died. No, they didn't. Just the overcoat left them. Now that it's that spirit, it's all of a sudden free. They're like, oh, yes. God, glad I got rid of that old junk.
Yeah. And when we first started the show, we did we had a lot of conversation with people who had near-death experiences or past lives. And because, like Karen mentioned, I was very afraid of death, and I was looking for something that could help me to get beyond that. And I did a lot of interviews with people about that. And I heard a lot of stories, and they were all very different with some similarities, but it was a very personal experience of everyone who had passed on. And it wasn't until Karen actually said to me, if you die and there is nothing like you're afraid is happening, you won't know any better. But how much nicer is it to live your life believing that there's something much better after we pass. Isn't that what you would prefer to live? Thinking that versus dreading the fact that you're just going to be nothing? And I don't know how that got through me, but suddenly it was like this, oh, good Lord, how could I not have thought of it that way? So it shows me that it's literally, it's a decision.
It's a choice.
It's a choice that you make. And since that day, I prefer to live, but if I have to go, I'm not.
Otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Yes. If I have to go, I won't be as dreading. Like I'm not as afraid of it anymore because, and it wasn't all these stories I talked to people about, even though I still follow up on it. It was just that simple choice that changed everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid after I die. I'm just afraid of the moment. Like, is it going to hurt? I mean, I don't want to be stabbed. I think like, what's going to happen? I mean, that car wreck, that's going to suck. I just want to fall asleep gently, but no, it's going to happen.
Good news. In some of these interviews that we did, we were told that the consciousness is pulled out of the body prior to the moment of death, so you don't feel the pain. So if that helps any.
Hopefully.
I've heard a lot of that, just doing a lot of NDE research, which is really kind of what got me down the path. And it was really weird. Spirit was just basically giving me breadcrumbs all these years of like all the books that would suddenly magically appear before me, and I would devour it, and I didn't know why they were.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
I was like, it didn't occur to me. Hindsight's 2020, right? It didn't occur to me until years down the road. I'm like, God, I've read so many books. How did they get there? I'm like, oh yeah, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But all these people were saying the same thing, that the consciousness was pulled out split seconds before. And even when I've done readings, Spirit often will say the same thing. I didn't feel a damn thing. There's nothing, and they express the insane amount of love that overwhelms them, which also is in these NDE descriptions.
And it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and in fact, just the opposite. The pain happens when they come back into their bodies.
Exactly. Yeah, they come back in tears. They're like, I don't want to be back in this body.
Yeah.
I think I'm thinking about the few moments before, like when you're getting, stabbed or whatever. Well, I don't know why stabbed always comes up.
I know, but think of a car accident.
I think it was a prior life. That's my thought.
Maybe.
That's my vote.
And it hurt.
That's my vote.
But then I guess you don't remember it. So
you jumped in.
We've explored
all these conversations, and we found that it's our calling now. We really felt like we're not here, like Karen said, we're not here to heal. We're not here to be internal spiritual guides. We're here to help spread the messages that these people are helping. Everyone that comes on our show is an expert in a particular topic, and we're able to help show a different path, right? We're firm believers of one truth, many paths. And so our show is meant to help showcase all of the different paths so that one of them might resonate with you, and you follow down that path. So much so.
Well, I was going to say it's also a safe place for someone who's just kind of starting to get interested in this, or just starting to have some funky experiences, and they want to explore more, but they're not ready to put it all out there. Right. So you can come in. It's like dipping your toes. We call it a little intro, Metaphysics 101, Metaphysics for Dummies.
Metaphysics 101.
Yeah, exactly. That was a tagline when we first started the show.
Oh, there you go.
But
I must be psychic. I must know these things.
Spirit's talking to you.
Oh, there we go. That's it.
But now we took this, and the calling was stronger. So we actually have extended it even further than just our show, to the point where Karen has a really beautiful analogy. When it comes to all you do a search for these types of shows, and you're going to find just a plethora of different content that's surrounded around this. A little bit different here and there. Your show's a little different than ours, which is a little different than the other person next to us, right? They're all a little bit different. But the one thing that we have in common is we're trying to help people to come to terms with who we are and raise their vibrations. And so we felt if our show was doing this much good, where people were writing to us and saying, hey, thank you for making me feel normal. Thank you for helping me process this stuff. If our one show was doing that for people, how much better would it be if we had a bunch of shows together and helped spread all those messages? So Karen, you want to talk about your analogy, or you want me to steal it?
Well, I mean, you kind of already did.
No, I didn't.
No, That's okay.
Okay. So we actually, I buried the lead. So we actually created a new online streaming platform called New Reality TV. It brings together all these shows under one umbrella to help get these messages out. So Karen's analogy, which I unfortunately just ruined, was so our show's a little candle in the darkness, in the vast darkness. And then off in the distance, you see flickers of all these other candles, but there's just little candles and they're not doing very much to dispel that darkness because it's such a small flame. So what we've done is we brought all these candles together and created this big, beautiful beacon in the hopes that that will finally help pierce the veil. And so that is what New Reality TV is all about.
And we currently have about 41 shows that are already broadcasting. We have over 600 hours of content on there. There's a 24-hour international broadcast. We have people creating content from literally all over the world: Thailand, Portugal, Finland, Australia, the States, Canada, everywhere. And then we also have a streaming platform. We have some of our content partners go live. We've got a little shop. We've got a newsletter. We've got a magazine. But all of this is just to help people. It's a safe place. So one of the things that we, or actually four of the things, the only four things that we really, I don't want to say demand, but requirements for our content partners when they're creating content for New Reality is that none of the content be fear-based. We don't want people just kind of clicking through, looking for that sensationalized, haunting or demonic possession. So nothing fear-based, nothing political at all. This is a politic-free zone.
Yeah.
Nothing divisive.
I don't think spirit's very political, honestly.
Yeah, I
No,
don't think so
for
either.
sure.
But
No.
people can make it be political.
Yeah.
I mean, look at religion.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, God, don't even bring religion into that. That's
exactly.
a whole other ball.
And then the last thing is that we have, like I said, over 40 shows. We have everything from people that, do past life regressions to channelers to astrologists, mediums, people that read your ancestors through your eyes. I mean, you name it, we've got it on there. So we ask that no one be in any way disparaging, thank you, of any other modality. Even if you think it's just a bunch of hooey, that's fine. Just like that old adage, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Because something is going to resonate to somebody. And we want to make sure that we have as much of this content possible. And we've ended up with this beautiful community of so far, about 40 people plus. We've got about 16 that are currently starting to create shows for us that all really want to help. Yeah. We have plans for retreats. We actually recently did a summit, and this is the kind of people that we have in this community. So these content creators, they've been doing all this work. We just launched the platform in January. So it's going to be, it's a subscription base, but we're new. So we're not able to really give anyone anything yet financially. So we said, well, let's do a summit and maybe, we can charge for the summit and you guys can get a little bit of something from that. And so, they all were like, well, what if we just do it for free? So we did the summit Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to like 8 p.m. Content partner, presentation after presentation after presentation, all free.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
That's great.
And that's a testament to, we're having fun doing it,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's really about, hey, like you mentioned, we're all one, we're all energy, we're all in this together. Let's help each other. Yeah. And that's what's really jazzing us right now.
Yeah, that's so beautiful because also we're ultimately trying to all be of service, not only to each other, but also to spirit itself, because spirit's trying to get that same message as well. Right. So, we're all just trying to, like you said, spread that message. It's like, oh, okay, there's that pebble of truth. Let's get more pebbles. Let's get as much of that, mountain down to the earth as we possibly can.
Right. And when you think about it, it's kind of ludicrous to feel that there's really only one way to think, right? Yeah. Just look at our fingerprints. No two are the same. So how can our spiritual path possibly be the same? Everyone has it's a very solitary journey. Yep. You can be accompanied, but ultimately you have to go within yourself and find your own truth. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to present as many different truths or paths as possible so that you can cobble together your own spirituality. Because there is no two alike really, because you and I can agree on a lot of things, but we're going to find something that's kind of just maybe slightly not the same. And that's the beauty of it, because then we talk about it. And then I learn from you and you learn from me and vice versa. One of the biggest fallacies, a lot of people that meet with us automatically assume that Karen and I, because we're married, we've been together for such a long time, we do everything together, they assume that we have the same belief system. People are shocked to learn that we actually disagree more than we agree on things. And what makes it work is that we not only do we make space for each other's belief systems, but we support that towards each other, because that's the way that we learn from each other. Right. And she might say something that makes me go, I hadn't thought of it that way. But this is the spin that I'm putting on it to make perfect sense for me, and vice versa. It's beautiful.
And there's nothing like sitting down at night with a big old bottle of wine and just having these discussions where we're just talking about this. You know, we're exploring each other's, we're kind of picking each other's brains, and
that's cool.
It's a very growing experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
It'd be great if more couples were like that. I think there'd be a much richer experience.
Yeah, I'll take it even further. It'd be such a better experience to humanity if more people.
Humanity, I was going there. Yeah, exactly.
More people were like that, not just couples. Because
can you imagine what the world would be like if all of a sudden, rather than yelling at each other and tearing each other apart, we actually would sit down and talk for once?
There'd be peace.
Yes, definitely. Right.
Yeah, no crime.
Yeah, and in a way, I guess that's kind of what we're trying to do with New Reality TV, where we're trying to build our own little world, our own little community of people who think like-minded. And like I said, no two modalities on the show or on the network are the same. We have a Thai Buddhist monk who's going to Alaska to meet with a Norse shaman who they met through New Reality TV because they want to do some shows together. But they're completely different thought processes, but it's a safe space for you to explore. Mm-hmm. And there's some things that I run across, I'm going, whatever, but it's not for me. But so we've had people on our show that when we have finished the interview, we turn off the computer, we walk downstairs, walk outside the door, and then go, what the heck was that? Right? And we like, okay, we're not really sure we're going to publish this show, this episode, because that was just way out there. But inevitably we do, because our thought process is, it's not up to us to say what's real and what's not. Mm-hmm. We just put it out there and let people make up their own minds about it. Almost inevitably, almost to a T, every one of them, the one we just looked at each other and go, what the heck, have been our most popular episodes. Mm-hmm. So it's shown us that we are woefully mistaken if we feel our thought process is the majority of the thought processes.
And who are we to judge?
Who are we to judge?
We have no basis in what may or may not be true.
Exactly. Remember, we just have a little pebble. So they just have a stranger looking pebble than we do. That's all.
Yeah, but only strange to us.
It's strange to them,
it's a perfect pebble.
Right. To them, it's us that have the strange pebble. So
the other thing you could look at is do the old analogy that says a blind man leading a blind man it's always going to be mistaken to whatever they describe.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, you can take it further. Right now, even when we're not blind, how do you know that your color red is the same as my color red?
I had that very problem. I literally went to a barber shop wearing a bright red ski jacket, and I'm saying it's red. My wife is saying it's mauve. The one barber's saying it's off red. I mean, they were all going in, they were saying, oh no, it's not red. I'm like going, what are you people doing? That was just a damn ski jacket.
Yeah. But there's no guarantees that we are processing the colors the same way. So what I might see as blue, you might see as yellow. We have no idea, but you call it blue. We call it blue, but the color itself looks different to you.
And then somebody says, oh, well, you're colorblind. It's your problem.
Well, yeah, maybe it is. But
we can all agree that it's probably warm. A warm jacket.
It's a warm jacket.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Forget the color.
So we have commonalities.
Yes. And that's the key, right?
Yeah.
Focus on the commonalities, but support and express and celebrate the differences, because that's how boring would it be if we were all just the same?
Yeah. Oh my God. It'd be so boring. And that's what makes this world so amazing.
Yes. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are trying to homogenize everything, and that's where the trouble is coming in. So just let people be people, right? Yeah. What does it do to you? Nothing.
Exactly. And that's ultimately what Spirit's always trying to bring through is trust, surrender, and allow.
Yes.
And that's to them, to their messages, but also to each other. And that's kind of, the whole concept of live life to the fullest.
Yeah. I tell you what, you're so right. When I started to decide to slowly, little by little, surrender to the universe, that's when the magic started happening. I'm still hanging on for dear life. I'm trying not to, but the more I surrender, I'm digging in. But the more I surrender, the more sweet I'm finding the world to be.
Yeah. And it becomes harder to hang on, doesn't it? Like you're hanging on with one arm and all your weight's on there and it's getting heavy and you're like getting down one finger.
Right.
Just let go, baby.
Yeah.
Exactly. Spirits guy, they're not going to let go.
No.
Well, awesome. This, I'm so glad you came on. This conversation I know could go on for days and days and days. Like, I can just kind of feel that. But I definitely want to thank you too for coming on. This has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah. You shared so much with us. Your podcast, your TV show, and the community you're creating. This all sounds fabulous.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having us. It's been a pleasure. And if folks listening or watching want to continue the conversation, then all they need to do is come check us out.
Absolutely. And all your information will be on the show notes. So if people out there are interested, take a look at the show notes. You'll have all the links to their podcast and the reality, the TV show and the community and whatnot. So go there. And, if you are enjoying, this podcast, and please, let us know, give us your comments, give us a thumbs up, whatever it is. And, if, you're like me and Will and you want to explore meditation a little bit more, we've got a link on the show notes about, how you can get, another meditation, discomontclairmedium.com/free-meditation. It's all just all meditation. You'll start opening up. So with that, I want to thank you all for today and, coming on and everybody listening. Thank you for listening today. And I'm sending out love and light to everybody. And, I will see you next time. Bye for now. If this conversation just spoke to you, even just a little bit, then I'd love to invite you into the Soul Growth Circle. It's my community designed for people just like you, spiritual seekers who want a supportive community, real connection, loving guidance, and teachings that go deeper but still feel grounded, kind of like we looked in the episode. Inside, you'll find a supportive community, guided lessons, live calls, and tools to help you reconnect to your intuition, your purpose, and your path, all in a safe, judgment-free space. And you'll find the link in the description below if you want to learn more. So that's it for today. I hope something that Will or Karen shared gave you a spark of recognition, that sense that you're not crazy, you're not broken, and you're definitely not alone. Well, let me know in the comments what stood out to you the most. I really love hearing your stories. And if you're looking for more support, more heart, this kind of conversation really going to help. So I'll see you inside the Soul Growth Circle. Bye for now. This is Chris.